So here's the big question. What does it mean to actually be a pitmaster? I mean, we hear that term thrown around in the barbecue industry like crazy. But what does it actually mean? So on this podcast, we're going to take you on a journey to teach you what it means to actually be a pitmaster. We're going to talk about building pits. We're going to talk about cooking on pits. We're going to talk about cooking for the masses. We're going to talk about how to make money in the barbecue industry. Join us in this journey.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Frank Cox, Smoker Builder Manufacturing. Hey, I don't know how the audio is going to turn out on this. Hopefully it's good. But so we used to do the Midmo Smoke Show. We had the radio show and all that. And boy, I had a lot of fun with it, you know. And we moved on, and Lyle's been hosting that. That comes off of ESPN 107.3 here in Rolla, Missouri. And, you know, our busy schedule, things like that. We figured out that the podcast thing is probably the best way to go. So that's what's happening right here, right now. So what's happening? It's currently about quarter after 10 p.m. in Central Time in Missouri. This is April, what the heck is it? The 9th, 10th, I don't know, something like that. I lose track of days. And we decided that we're going to kick off this podcast thing. So I'm currently driving in the Jeep, right? I got the top down. It's a beautiful day. It's 73 right now in the evening. And, you know, barbecue weather's upon us and all that stuff. And so I just wanted to start the podcast off this way. One thing that inspired me to go ahead and talk where I'm at right now with what I'm doing currently, right? I'm actually on my way home from work. I've been working at the shop. I drove past the old shop, right? Smoker Builder HQ, the original place. It's a little 1,200 square foot, 2,400 square foot building. 1,200 square foot of that was Smoker Builder at one time. And we had about a 14 by 15 shop. Literally, that's all the room we had in that building. And, you know, the thing is that most people didn't probably know that. They thought that Smoker Builder might have been huge, might have been small, whatever. Unless you actually been to the old shop, there's no way you would have known about it, because we tried to put on a big facade. We tried to put on that we had this giant facility and all that stuff, right? So I feel like I want to reflect back on Smoker Builder in the first days, the original days of Smoker Builder. So I think the way I want to reflect upon it is where did we come from? What started Smoker Builder? Why did we do this crazy thing? So back in the day, you know, the internet was relatively young. I mean, you know, there was social media, Facebook was around, stuff like that. There'd been some barbecue forums and things like that, but community had never been at the scale it is now, where everything you do, everything you say is on digital somewhere. It's on the internet. It's on Facebook. It's on social media, all over the place. YouTube. I mean, pick it. It's everywhere. Everyone, everywhere is on the internet, and that was not true back in the day. And so when we started Smoker Builder, the most common place to get thoughts out was two ways: blogs, which was a WordPress site, which is actually the first website we had, and the other way was forums, which came along shortly after. And on the forums, that's where we decided we wanted to build our community, right? People had Facebook accounts. There was no groups at the time, and on their Facebook accounts, it was friends. So there really wasn't it was uncommon to just go out there and just add people as friends that you didn't know. I mean, that was weird and kind of stalky feeling, you know. But on a barbecue forum, you could go on there and you could talk to whoever you wanted, and they could respond whenever they wanted. So it was the most convenient way at the time, and it was fun. And so I learned how to build pits on a forum, not Smoker Builder, but another forum. I literally bought my first smoker when I built my house that I currently live in back in 2000 and whatever. And you know what? That's not even true. That's my second smoker. My first smoker I built back in 90-ish. I guess it was about 96. My wife and I had just gotten married back in 96. And I was working in a sheet metal shop at the time, and I had a connection with a friend of mine that had a barrel that was a lacquer thinner barrel, and I was like, what the heck? I'll just make a grill out of this thing. So that was my first one. It was awful. That's where I learned that, hey, you got to let air in so that the charcoal stay on fire, you know, that kind of deal. And so I cooked on that for a number of years, got busy with things, fell out of it, whatever. But then I built my house, and I had a deck on the back of the house, and I decided that I wanted to have something to cook on back there, because there's nothing better than, you know, cooking outside, like with fire and doing stuff. Okay, so being in the trades most of my adult life, I had a connection with a local plumbing supply company, and they were a Traeger dealer. So I bought this Traeger 070 pellet smoker. This is back in the day when they were actually made of metal, you know. And I don't know what they're like now. I haven't even touched one for a lot of years, but I bought that smoker, and it came with a little cookbook, and I was like, what the hell? I'll just sit here and, you know, try to figure this thing out. And I don't know anybody that cooks barbecue. I've noticed I've always been the first one in my crew to do something, it seems, you know, the people I ran with at the time, whatever. So what I did is I remember the first thing I cooked in that recipe book was Bruce's brisket. And they teach you in that book how to make the rub that you're going to use to cook the brisket, how to trim it, real basic backyard, you know, that kind of thing. And I put that thing on the cooker, and I murdered it. I cooked it for 14 hours, whatever. And it wasn't bad for my first brisket. I was really happy with the product. And then I was like, man, there's got to be more to this thing. So I started looking through the recipe book. I really didn't find anything that I really genuinely liked. You know, I mean, there was ribs in there, but they were hard to cook. They burned. They were tough. You know, there was other stuff going on, and I just wasn't happy with what I was getting in the book. And you know, like I said, being in the trades, I decided that, you know, I wanted more. I wanted to build something. I've been a fabricator, you know, most of my adult life. I've always worked with metal. I figured, what the heck, I can do this. And so what I did then is I decided I'd go looking on the internet and see what I could come up with for what kind of pits does other people use. You know, maybe look for some recipes and stuff. So I stumbled upon a website, and I started going through the different posts on this forum, and of course everybody was cooking all this amazing food. Like I'm saying, it just looked good. And I thought, well, surely I can duplicate that. So I went ahead and started trying to cook some of those things, but I noticed the recipes really weren't matching up, because I was cooking on a pellet cooker, and most of those guys had, you know, they all had like cookers that used charcoal or cookers that used wood, like stick burners. And so I went ahead and I decided that I would try to build a pit. So I started reading some of the posts in that section of that forum, trying to figure out what I could do to start. So the math wasn't making no sense. I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. It was I'm not exactly a mathematician by nature, but it was sketchy at best, let's say. It felt like everything was formed on opinion instead of data. So what I decided I wanted to do is I wanted to be the first one of my friends to build a pit. I wanted to be the guy that brought barbecue to my town, basically. I also decided that I wanted to be able to teach other people what I knew. So I went on this quest, this journey, to figure out what it took to build the perfect pit. You know, I specifically wanted to have a reverse flow smoker, because a reverse flow smoker was the one that everybody recommended on that forum, and it also to them felt like that it was easier to maintain temperature. You'd get a more consistent temperature throughout the cook chamber. So I spent most of my time looking at that. Well, everybody remembers back in the day there was a spreadsheet you used to be able to get. It was by a dude down in Texas, and that was the foundation for many of the ways people do things today on barbecue, up until we came along. And so I started with those numbers, and there was a few things on there like the baffle plate gap and some other things that weren't really explained very well. Like nobody had a name really for what we call the throat opening. Our brother Alley Rat is actually one that coined that term back in the good old days, because he helped write our original barbecue pit calculator. And so what I decided I would do, based on the math that I was presented and based on the opinions of many people on these barbecue forums, because I started looking at other forums too, trying to figure out who was right and who was wrong. And I just said, what the hell, I'll make this thing adjustable, because adjustable that makes a lot more sense to me. So I went ahead and made everything on there I had questions about. I designed it for the biggest opening that I needed, and then I made it a blade that would adjust tighter to close it off. And then I just decided that I would cook a lot until I figured out what the best spot is for that particular area of the cooker. So I built my first one out of air tanks, the little air tanks that you throw in the back of the truck. And I took one of them and I cut it down about half, and then I cut the other one up, just made it the full cook chamber, and I still got that pit today, and it cooked okay. It was a fun build. It's actually on our forum. There's a thread called "What the First Smoker You Ever Built." I think it's a forum all by itself. But anyway, so I cooked on that thing a little bit here and there, and I was like, well, this thing's too small. I guess I should build a bigger one so I could really test out these theories. And so I found an old water tank. I was scared at the time to cut a propane tank because I was in the trades and I knew about propane and gas and stuff like that. So I went ahead and I found a water tank off of a concrete truck. And that was a fun little build. It was a little on the thin side, and the inside was really rusty, and it was a real pain to clean. And the paint on the outside of that thing was like epoxy. It was really hard to get off of there. But I pursued it and I went for it. And you can see that build on our forum under the 160 gallon reverse flow build that I made. And what I did is I took what I learned from the first pit and I built it into the next pit. And I made that baffle plate gap adjustable. And I changed up some stuff on the smokestack here and there, different things like that. And let me tell you, that pit ran like a song. And I came up with what I thought was the perfect tune. So I decided that I wanted to go ahead and start teaching people how to do things, how to build pits. And Tortilla Tom, everybody knows his name's Tom Heath. He's one of my business partners in Smoker Builder, and he's been there from the beginning. We decided that we met at Minsky's Pizza. If you ever been to Kansas City, you got to go to Minsky's Pizza. It's fantastic, and there's a bunch of them up there. But the particular one we were at was in Liberty, Missouri. And so no, it wasn't Liberty. It was Independence. That's where we was. And we sat down, ate us some pizza, and him and I had been talking back and forth on these barbecue forums for a long time, but I really hadn't met him in person. What I did is I just private messaged him, and I said on the forum there before I met him, and I said, hey, why don't we just kind of get together and make our own barbecue forum, because this place is all about cooking, and we're all about building. That's all we ever talk about, and there's nobody really sees it our way. So that's what we did. we went ahead and I knew a little bit about the internet and how to make domain names and websites and stuff, and we said we ought to just be descriptive. So we said Smoker Builder, that's what we do. And we started the blog, and then we started the very first Smoker Builder forum. And I remember for a long time it was just Tom and I talking back and forth with each other. He would make a post and then I would say something to it, and we'd talk back and forth just like having a conversation basically. And then pretty soon here come another guy that joined up, and another guy, and slowly but surely we got up to that 100 mark of members. And it just kind of grew from there. We're creeping up on the 9,000 member mark right now on the actual forum. And Facebook's kind of goofed this whole forum boards thing up. They've got their Facebook groups, and people like to stay on the Facebook groups. So anyway, we've got our forums message board, which is proper. It's smokerbuilder.com/forums. But we've also got a hidden Facebook group called Smoker Builder Forums Group. And in there you'll see the community that we've built. It's really, really tight. I mean, there's no haters in our community. We don't put up with drama. We don't, there is no stupid question. You get in there and you ask a question and you get an answer. And if you have to ask it, if 50 people a day ask the same question, it doesn't matter. We don't get worked up about it. We just have fun, get to know each other, cook, build. That's what we do. And that carried over into our personal lives, that kind of pattern of behavior. So what I was thinking about earlier when I drove by the original Smoker Builder HQ is, that building was tiny. And we had a lot of fun there, man. We built a lot of pits. There was a lot of cool things happen there. I mean, I truly miss the days when on weekends, Mike the Forester and, Smoke One, we call him Hot Pants because he's a firefighter. Smoke One would come up, and, Tortilla Tom would be up there, and the Czar, and all these people would show up on a weekend. Joe Dixon, we just would get together and we'd hang out and cook, and we'd just build, and we'd be there all day Saturday usually, maybe even Sunday if it carried over. People come down from St. Louis and all over, and those were really good times. We learned a lot, we had a lot of fun, and we built some unbelievable friendships over the years doing all that. And I want you to consider what I'm saying is that the barbecue community is way more than just people that cook. The barbecue community, it's an irrational passion. People are irrational about the passion of barbecue. They spend unbelievable amounts of money to have unbelievable amounts of fun and build friendships with complete strangers all over the world, globally, through the internet or in person. You go to a restaurant, a barbecue restaurant, and you walk in there, and you're gonna talk to somebody in there when you're there. I mean, unless you're just closed-minded and you're not clued in about the barbecue force. If you go there, you're going to want to talk to the PitMaster. You're going to want to talk to the guy that owns the place. You're going to want to come back. You're going to want to build a relationship with that guy. It's Anthony Bourdain said that the road to peace is paved with barbecue, something like that. So that's for real, and it's an unbelievable culture. And what I'm doing here is I'm inviting you to become a part of the barbecue culture. And dig in with whatever kind of a group fits your tastes. If you are currently a box store kind of a cooker, like you got a Oklahoma Joe or a Weber Smoky Mountain or whatever kind of cooker you got right now, that's a good starting point. There's way more ahead. We would like to set you free from
from the box store, kind of cookers. We want to show you how to build a pit. We want to show you how to become a pit master, how to operate that pit better than anyone around you, better than anyone you know. And we want to show you how to cook the best food you ever had, and then how to want more. That's really what we want to do. And that's what you're going to get out of this podcast. With the radio show, we talked a lot about technique back in the day, and my brother Pig Daddy Spearman, he was instrumental in that show, and we had a lot of good times with that. But I think with this podcast, I think what our goal is, Tom and Derek and I, we really want to just clue in on the hardcore roots of what is it to be a smoker builder. That's what we want you to be, a smoker builder. Welcome aboard. Hope you're having fun. We'll talk to you later.